this afternoon by social commentator, Mr. Zadok. You're welcome on the program.
Ondo State.
Another social commentator and APC member, Barrister Shola Adeshafa. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you.
All right, today we'll be looking at we're doing some sort of review of the Osun State governorship election that held on Saturday. Results were declared on Sunday, the early hours of Sunday, and then we'll look at how this ties into the 2023 election, especially for the two major political parties in Nigeria, the APC and the PDP. Now, let's begin. And I'm going to be starting from Mr. Zadok today. The election has been won and lost. And it is not usual. This is not the first time that an incumbent will be losing re-election. But if you look at Osun State and the candidate of the PDP, there were people who did not even take him serious.
Yes.
Yes, aliases like the dancing senator,
Yes.
many like that. And all of a sudden, he became governor elect. Now he's now dancing governor elect.
Yes.
What do you think worked in his favor?
Look, we are in a Yoruba society, and anybody practicing politics here who discountenances the fact that the strongest link to the electorate is their culture, their custom, their tradition, their belief system will do so at his or her own peril. Leadership must learn a lesson that the farther leaders are from the people they are governing, the worse their government will be perceived, even when they think within themselves that they are succeeding. What my candidate and the candidate of my party, Senator Adeleke, has achieved is not unprecedented. If you go back to the election that I held in 2018, he actually won that election outside of the deliberate manipulation of the incumbent party at that time, which is the APC, to ensure. That is fact. Let's go back to the issue. He
There
had
was a
won
supplementary
literally
election.
when they had the supplementary election in
And
which
APC
the
won.
incumbent governor won by a margin of less than 500 votes. In election, one vote is enough once there's a simple majority and you have fulfilled the constitutional requirement. Now, he learned from that lesson and then went back to look at what are the things that were not done. And it connected with the people effectively well enough. He also had the advantage that the APC, though a very slim advantage, that the APC had some rancor amongst their ranks, because whatever the outcome of that, it has worked in our favor. In that, at least there are certain capacities that did not work for the incumbent governor. But by and large, it was the fact that he was able to connect within those 4 years. That hiatus between when he lost the other election and now, he never disconnected from the people. His structure, his communication with these people was okay. I keep saying, and I say this without preference for any political party, even though I belong to the PDP. It is important for leaders not to get intoxicated with power, not to get too ensconced in that position that they are the one in power. Because once you communicate wrongly, in Yoruba land, you don't need to tell an elder that you don't need to insult him directly. You only need to do certain things that he feels uncomfortable with. And the elder in any political system are the people that vote. And so when the people that vote feel that they are not being carried along, when you fail to communicate the successes of your government effectively to the people in such a way as to have this inclusion, this buy-in, you are going to fail at the polls. If you don't fail at the polls,
and not just for the people.
Not just for the people. And if you don't fail at the poll, the implication is that your re-election will be more expensive than you would have had to spend if you had connected with your people. It's that simple. So we need to appreciate Osun State. And I'm not saying this because my party has won, but we need to appreciate Osun State electorate for setting that standard, for letting leaders know. And this affects leadership even in my party and in all other parties and in anybody that is in government. Once you disconnect from your people, even when you are doing well, and I say this without apology, Oyetola of Osun State did manage his state very well. He did. Because when you look at that state, it is one of the poorest states. When you look at the statistics now, he has been able to move that state within a period of 4 years away from where it was in the 35th position in some of the indexes to where it is now, where it's coming 15th in certain very, very important germane issues. But the truth is that if you don't communicate well with the electorate, if you don't communicate well within and without your political party, you are going to lose, and he has lost.
Right, sir, Shola Ajisafe. What worked for the dancing governor elect?
Thank you. Let me confess. Let me start by congratulating the dancing governor, like you people call him. But I call him Governor-elect Adeleke. I will say some of the things that my friend said are correct, but more fundamentally, why APC lost in Osun State?
Was it more of APC loss or PDP's victory? Which
If
was it?
APC had lost, PDP must
No, no, but maybe you don't understand what I'm trying to ask.
Okay.
Was it because was it as a result of APC's fault, APC mis, mistakes, or was it because the people really wanted Adeleke and he got some things right?
So good. If I were to situate this issue, I would say it was a disaster waiting to happen. The loss in Osun State was a result of some of the things that my friend said, not because of what Adeleke did rightly.
Okay.
It was not what he did rightly. I
Not
do
because
not
of
see
not because
what
of people
yeah,
love
because if you look at it, what did he do rightly? He was not in government to have said that he has put forward any of his programs.
Zadok say it connected with.
How? It would be by dancing or by what? What what he did was that, okay, let me say the thing he did right was that his brother was the governor. The late Senator Adeleke was the
first
governor in
executive governor,
1992.
yes, of the state.
And the man still stood there. Then the Adeleke dynasty in Osun State have been able to build a kind of brand that you cannot throw away. Why the late senator was holding the political arm of the brand, the other man was holding it in the social realm, which is in education. And you cannot rule that.
Adeleke.
Yes, you cannot rule that out. Maybe the man, you know, these sentiments of, oh, this person is doing so well in education, given scholarships and this and that. Then this one died mysteriously, and he was not a bad man as at that period. Then you cannot equally look at the millennial momentum which Davido himself created. Those were the things that I saw that align with the sentiment of the soup that the APC themselves had created. Ordinarily, Adeleke wouldn't have won the election. One, look at the votes that caused this loss. 28,000 votes, massive, but still very is something that an Aregbe, if there were not this wahala between them, would have been able to deliver. Look at Lasso. Look at Shehu and some of
Nanalimi, who was the campaign deputy DG, was in
Yes.
the APC before.
Yes. When you look at it, it was a disaster waiting to happen. And the inability of the party to manage it in-house, inability of the elders of the party, wherever they are situated, whether in Abuja, whether in Bodilo, whether in anywhere, to have been unable to rein in these people to the effect that when two brothers fight to death, the person that inherits, that takes their inheritance, is a stranger. What had happened? They allowed a stranger in PDP to take their inheritance because they wanted to fight to finish. And for me as a Democrat, I believe that it is good for a democracy. It is good for history. It is equally good for the people. Like I said, the people who are the owners of the land, who are the owners of the mandate, are the people. I saw it. I followed it. I saw the way the people reacted. The fact that Oyetola did not agree with a man who is seen to be on the ground. It is only a foolish person that will say Aregbe did not connect with the people of Osun State. He did. He did. Is it the way he dances? Many of the characteristics of Aregbe were missing in Oyetola. Aregbe is a loud person. Aregbe entered this place, you will know that Aregbe has entered because the way he's greeting you, greeting this person, interacting, speaking, he will even not speak too much grammar. He's not a man that you will not recognize that he's around. Aside from that, the way he communicates properly and well. He's deep with the people. Oyetola was brought in from the insurance business, or let me say the business community, to sit in an office for 8 years. His capacity to relate with the people was suspect. And by his own personal mere, he's not somebody who has this gra.
But he was a chief of staff.
Yeah, he was a chief of staff. Is usually a man not to be seen.
Adra Amodu was the chief of staff when Johnny Fahim's first
That is the difference.
And Adra Amodu was strong in that government.
I agree. It's not only him. Agagu was strong, and some other persons were strong. This doctor from Idorianda Mimiko was strong. Ademujimi was strong, and many people like that. But you cannot compare him to Oyetola. So when we look at the gamut of all these issues, I'm not. I spare no tears. I shed no tears for the loss in Osho, even though it's painful. But I believe that he has done two things.
Okay.
It has created a spectacle, whereas he who is standing must be aware, because ilẹ̀ ṣekini, ilẹ̀ iyọ̀ èèyàn. He said, for us who are consummate party men, we believe that it's a call up this thing. It's trying to send a signal to,
like a wake up call.
God bless you. That's the appropriate word. A wake up call. And how our party, how our leaders react to this is Osun has provided an opportunity for them to do a serious reassessment, not only for all the elections, even including the presidential election. But I want to say something. I want to say it right now, that the PDP should not be too
jubilant. Or which word are you looking for?
Yeah, that's the appropriate word. They should not be too jubilant about this victory, because there are two issues. If they think that it's going to have a spiral effect,
we're going to get that on the 2023 election. We're going to get there.
Okay.
Now, but this question is still for Barrister Ajishafe.
Yes.
There are local governments in Osun State that were easy to consider the stronghold of the APC.
Ipso facto.
Oshogbo, for instance,
Yes.
Ila or Ogun, for instance,
Yes.
the Ilesha West, Ilesha East, for instance.
Yes.
All these local government went to the PDP.
Yes.
We understand. You've mentioned the issue between Aregbe and Oyetola. PDP won in Ilesha West, where Aregbe comes from.
Yes.
Well, APC won in Ilesha East. But look at Ila, where the former acting national chairman of the APC comes from. That is BC Akande, who is also a former governor of the state.
Yes.
PDP won in that local. PDP won
Massively.
in Oshogbo by white magic. What changed for the APC in all this local government?
Yes, it's still the same thing. You see the Aregbe factor. Okay, let's take Ila. Ila is of the view that Baba Conte should, it was seen that Baba Conte was supporting Oyetola against an Aregbe who used Baba Conte as a passport. Throughout the time Aregbe was in government for those 8 years, when you see Aregbe like this, we see Baba Conte. He gave Baba Conte 150% respect and whatever. So it is believed that for now in the progressive fold in the southwest, Baba Conte is the alter ego, the chief priest, who is supposed to be. This is his soul. So people felt that he has taken a side with Oyetola, either because he did not call the two of them and say, that's what elders do, or the fact that he openly endorsed the activities of Oyetola. Look at Oshogbo too. Oshogbo, the man who represents Oshogbo in the Senate, was a boy. I call him a boy. He's currently in the Senate now.
Yes,
he's my friend.
The spokesperson of the Senate.
Yes, we are classmates in the university. We are classmates in the law school too. SRJ, Bashir, Ajibola. He was the closest person to Aregbe in that government. In the first time,
he was the commissioner for justice.
Not only that, before then he was a commissioner for integration and special duties. Special duties, and when they say special duties, I know all the duties that Bashir performed.
We understand special duties.
Okay,
let's
now it was Bashir that who now saw as the chief priest of the antagonism against Aregbe. And Oshogbo people didn't like that. For Ilesha West, you can understand Omoeni now. Are you getting me? They felt that if Omoeni that's what our Yoruba people used to say. So when you put this thing together, even when you look at Ife, that we expected, because when the momentum of the victory of PDP was coming, people were saying, don't worry, Ife will come in with Igbo Oluyi. But I didn't see the Igbo Oluyi from all of
But
this.
APC won in 3 of the.
Yes, I understand.
PDP won in 1.
Ordinarily, I said the amount of votes, it was close. There was a place APC had 17,000.
Igbo Oloye, what do you just call it?
Igbo Oloye is the one that you expect that somebody will be struggling with. Okay, like the one that
will make you feel dizzy.
Yeah, okay. So, but it didn't come.
Igbo Oloye did not come.
It was to the fact that you cannot rule out the fact that the local people, like I said, they talked about the culture, the song, the dancing, the music, the everything, which Aregbe used to. Are you getting me? You cannot rule it out.
And also people are cultural people.
He connected with the people. He's a no holds barred person, not a.
Okay, let me ask Zadok the same question before we move on to. In all this local government, what do you think changed for the APC?
It's unfortunate sometimes when we push these narratives that we may not be very truthful about taking responsibilities. Aregbe was with Oyetola in 2018. They had a margin of less than 500 votes, which came as a result of the runoff they deliberately
Supplementary
declared
election.
in the Ife axis.
Don't use the
If
word
you look
was
at
declared by
yeah, it
INEC.
was
So
declared. The total votes cast
You
at
know,
that
PDP
time.
don't like accepting
No. It's not
facts,
that.
even when it
It's
is clear.
if you may give me the opportunity
Okay.
to explain this.
Go ahead.
The
Go ahead.
total votes that was cast in that election for the two major political parties came to just a little over 500,000. The votes cast in this election for the two major parties came to more than 700,000, not including the votes of the other smaller political parties. So it would be very wrong for the APC to think that it was the exclusion of Aregbe, for instance, that caused this. You must give respect to the winner. I take exception to him being classified deliberately as a dancing governor. I see that is the totality of who he is.
I was
This
not the
is
one that did that.
if you may allow.
That's what men.
That's what
That-
many see because he is
I asked
truthful
the question
enough.
at the
Yeah.
beginning that some don't take him serious.
Yes, he's truthful enough to be very open about who he is. The people in Yoruba land will not vote for you if you do not have some level of credence in the society. And that credence includes being very, very open, transparent, honest with them to a large extent, whether you have failings or
You're
otherwise.
saying the son for
Now,
who he
so
is.
for who he is, he was truthful. When
There
you
was
go
no
back,
ears around.
no hairs. He's open. His family is open. When you go back to this issue between the current, the outgoing governor and Aregbe, it may not be as simple as people say it is. If you look at Oyetola as an individual, I think I will give him far, far greater pass mark in terms of governance and delivery than I would ever give Aregbe. And this is the simple reason. Aregbe simplified, not simplify is not the word I'm trying to find. Aregbe
Trivializes.
trivialized governance. Most of his legacies, most of the things that he did in government could not even last a 4-year term after him. Considering projects like the planting of trees along the Bogon Ibadan federal highway for close to 1 billion allegedly. I mean, it didn't make sense. You don't see trees there anymore. Look at virtually all these projects. The Opoimo is not even existent anymore. Look at the uniform school apparel issue. It's not even existing anymore because they were things that were outside the norm. The renaming of Osun State, every state in Nigeria
State of
is
Osun.
named into State of Osun. It didn't last because there were things that were not core. So to say that Aregbe had some huge acceptance, no. Look, the scapegoating of Oyetola is what we've seen here. I keep saying that those in power must communicate effectively governance to the people. Once you disconnect with the people, it becomes easy to remove you. If I was to mark both of them, I'm a PDP person, but we must be sincere enough to judge things the way they are. If I was to mark both of them, I would give Oyetola at least a 60 and give another maybe something like a 25% because his legacies are not long lasting. Look, leadership is very, very important. When you find, I belong to the PDP, I have reasons to disagree with my political party, the PDP. I am not happy with some of the things done in my party. But if I am going to oppose that political party, I would exit that party. I will not oppose my party by being within it to fight any internal personal battle. I can't translate my personal opinion into a national or a state or a tribal opinion at the detriment of my political party. So for anybody to say that Aregbe has some mystical value beyond his pettiness, I'm sorry to say that to him, is balderdash. Because you can't belong to a political party, have a disagreement with your governor, your successor, to the point where you seek to destroy that political party. What happened, if you look at the demographics of voting, was that they go back to the NSAS project. In these coming presidential elections, a lot of Nigerians have been sensitized to collect their PVCs. You have huge number of people coming into that voting gap who then have a choice between Oyetola, Adeleke, Lasun Yusuf, the former House of Rep, I think spokesperson or deputy speaker. And they looked at the three of them. There was an obvious rejection of the APC as the party of choice. there was a Labour Party that did not get its structure in place. So the obvious option for new voters is the PDP. The obvious option for those who are dissatisfied with the APC would be the PDP, because people vote along that line of the two major political parties. And so those are things that work. But to trivialize it to the point, when we say it's because Aregbe did, what would Aregbe have brought in 2022 that he did not bring in 2018? What could they have brought? Don't forget also the injection of Anumishori into the election would have assumed that they would have won entirely within the Ife axis. But look at the results; they are quite close. It's an affirmative declaration by the people, even by the people in the APC, that they are dissatisfied. An election held at that point where the price of petrol has become almost unaffordable. So you can't trivialize that loss or the superbness of the victory of Adeleke to maybe an Aregbe not being there. If Aregbe had been there, what would they have done?
The overall performance of the APC,
Look,
even at the national level, has an effect.
Yes,
on the
it
level.
did. Look at what Adeleke, Senator Adeleke has done. Connection with the people. People try to divert attention and say it's because he's dancing. No, the dancing is just his nature. And
He said he loves dancing. There's nothing wrong with
that. Is who he is. Unpretentious.
Dancing is good.
Dancing is, as a matter of fact, I wish I could do what he's doing.
It's good exercise.
Because it keeps you fit. It also shows that you have a good heart,
yes.
A David kind of heart. You don't have hairs around you. Look at him. He won the election. The first thing he did was to, promote the value of the Yorubaness by prostrating for his elder brother. That is leadership. Compare that to a former governor who was bold enough not only to make some very, very unacceptable, unpardonable comments about his own political party, but he's on record to be dancing around and making jest of his own political parties and the leaders in his parties. Compare that to an Adeleke. Compare that. He has not said anything wrong. As a matter of fact, up till date, our campaign has been very respectful of the Yoruba people that predominantly live within the Southwest. So when we do these things, we need to be very careful. We can't disrespect his victory. He won that victory validly, not on dancing. If the dancing worked for him, thank God. Look at something the APC got wrong, which I'm
coming to that. I know what you want to say. It's part of my question.
The issue of a musician coming to...
I'm coming to that. But before we get to that, we're still going to talk about pop culture in that election. Before we get there, why do you think the Ashwaju factor did not work for Oyetola in that election?
There are certain times that individuals have their personal liabilities, and the more they align with you, the more you become a casualty of that. You're saying Ashwaju shouldn't even have bothered to go to Osun because of the fact that he personally is running under a generally unacceptable mandate in his pursuit of being president. And so
what do you mean by that?
Now, for instance, the Muslim ticket is there. Is an issue that he's still trying to deal with. I give something to Baba. The fact that he is able to solve problems, but he couldn't solve the problem in Osun. Not necessarily because he didn't try. But I'll tell you that the reasons why it couldn't be solved as a PDP member, looking at the actions of the APC from afar, was because the gladiators in that thing, and I will say the major gladiator, Aregbe, could not be pacified. It couldn't be pacified. Because Asiwaju has solved problems in Lagos. He solved problem here for Aketi prior to our election. Aketi literally would have lost that election if he had not had his party rally around him. They came here and in a short period of time, Baba solved that problem. We respect him. He's a very formidable opponent. But he couldn't solve the problem in Osun because Aregbe made it difficult to solve that problem. And it's an ego trip. That's why I look at the communications from Oyetola pre the election. Look at the communication from Aregbe. Oyetola was not seen to be, so petty, so dirty in public media, insulting people. And we respect him. We are Yorubas first. Forget about the nominations of our political party. We must continue to do things within our clan that promotes unity and the development of our people. So we respect them for who they are. We ensure that our communication does not spoil that oneness of our ancestry. So they need to be careful when they make things and comments. You can't go destroying the culture of your people, promoting hate amongst us as Yoruba people for you to have any political benefit. How can you be singing songs and deliberately insulting leaders? You can't do that. So we won because of all the errors they were making, and we were doing the right things. And Adeleke did everything right that you needed to do to
Okay,
win.
Zado, let me start to Paris Shafe. Two questions. But first, I want you to answer the last question. Why didn't the Ashwaju factor work for Oyetola?
Well, it could be as a result of lack of readiness to accept pacification.
They were not able to close ranks.
Yes,
Okay.
like he said, by that Arebe might have made it difficult. But two, I do not see it that way. I saw it as
Arebe was not even, didn't even make himself available.
I
He
saw
was
it
not in
as
Osun.
inability to try. Not much effort was done to that level. That's the way
How
I
would
look
you
at it.
know?
On
I
the
know
part of Aregbe or
on the part of
Ashwaju.
Ashiwaju, he didn't make too much effort. When we are talking, because I know how this system works, even in our own Edo state, this is not the first time. Look at what happened before in 2016. Our people allowed in APC, I don't know of a PDP because I've never been PDP. I don't have intention of being PDP. So I don't bother myself with how they run their system. But in APC, I know it. Our people allow things to get out of hand
Before doing anything.
before doing anything. And before doing anything, they will have taken sides. Are you getting me? The people who are the basis of starting a problem cannot be the basis of its solution. I hope you follow me.
I understand.
So that creates a big issue. And to solve problem when it has first started too long becomes an issue. On the part of Ashiwaju, I think Ashiwaju has his own issue to contend with. This man has an ambition. And when, for me, I put the blame of what happened in Oshun 60% on Aregbe. Yes, and I'm confident with that. You cannot destroy a house you have built. They should not look at it from the perspective of those of them that are in these government houses that have all the appointments and all. They should look at it for those of us for whatever it cost us, including this my friend who is in PDP. We knew what we did in Oshun. Abi, when you are in ACM, when you are in
when I was in ACM,
when you
yes.
are in APC, yes.
Never in APC.
Okay,
Yes, ACM.
okay, yes. We knew what we did for the government of Aregbe.
Yes.
I knew what I did in when we were in. I was not a member of Oramiya, but I was
Conscripted?
conscripted by association to Oramiya, and we knew what we did to make Aregbe the governor of Osun State, the first time, the second time. So, for a house that you built, ideologically, Aregbe is strong. But culturally, he's a master. I do not agree with many of the things that my friends said about Aregbe. Aregbe laid the foundation of a new Osun State, whether you like it or not. Aregbe laid the foundation of a new Osun State.
Because of our time, let me move to the second question.
Yes.
Would you say that money played an important role in this election? I'm talking about vote buying.
Well, it is a fact. I don't know for the obedience or whatever, okay, but it is a fact that there is no election that money don't play a role. But in this one, I think it's a.
Did the people make their decision based on what they were given, or
I do
they
not
made
think
their
so.
decision based on the fact that we're tired with you?
Yes, I think people made their decision based on the fact that where they want to pitch their tent, not
money.
not money, not money. We have to be very sincere about that.
For me, as an individual, I think money plays a key role in any election, whether it is for the APC, the PDP, or other political parties. If you look at the Labour Party, for instance, saying that they are not going to spend money, they are not going to, go to the people with what the people say they want, you would look at the results they had. I did say that at least from the outcome of the Osho election, they now have statistics to know that at least minimally they will have that number of votes in that state. So that will help them to in planning whether they want to be serious about winning elections or not. Every political party is compelled by the culture of our electoral culture to make available funds for elections, whether in logistics or otherwise. I would never lie. I wouldn't say that our party doesn't prepare, because if you go to the shrine of a god, you have to prepare the sacrifices to offer to that god. There's no god in Yoruba land that accepts your prayers and supplications without
The God in
offense.
this system being the
The God
voters.
in this system is the voter, as inspired by the divinity of our culture of being rewarded. That's that entitlement culture.
For performing your civic duty.
For performing what should be a civic duty. Look, poverty. I have said it before and I say it again, and this is why we must collectively work together towards lifting our people away from where they are poor. It is our role as people seeking power to help an average Nigerian to move upward, because the wealth of a nation must not be determined or delineated by how wealthy the resources in the land is. The resources are dead. The only living resource of any nation, which the PDP defines itself by, is the people. That's why we say power belongs to the people. Look, if the people are poor, there would always be monetization of election. There's no way. How do you justify? And I say this, how do you justify a woman who has a child who is unable to provide small funds to take that child to the hospital on election day, being asked to take 5,000 naira to go and vote? How do you imprison such a person? Between keeping a child's life and going to prison, I would choose to go to prison and keep my child's life because of my poverty. We all, whether you are in APC or for us in PDP, must come together to define how a Nigerian must be defined minimally. A Nigerian must be able to provide for himself independently 3 square meals, which is where the APC is getting it wrong. Which is why Nigerians keep saying that, look, we wish
So
we
this
wait.
inability to define
That's why
started with ABC.
no, that's why if you allow
So
me,
you said the
that
PDP
is
and
why
the APC.
that is
No,
why
he says that is where the APC is
you know,
getting it
for
wrong.
civic conversation, you would learn this at least from this conversation. I said, this is where you've gotten it wrong. The PDP's policy from 1999 has always been about getting wealth to the people. Because it is when the people are
So what are
productive.
those
Please
words?
wait, sir, wait. That's why I
No,
kept
because we didn't see the
wait.
words.
Yeah, I agree. You may
We
not
didn't
have
see
seen it,
because it was
Vice
not there.
Adelaide,
wait.
I'll come
That's
back to
why
you
I
later.
deliberately keep quiet,
Shadow,
because it
please,
must be a
please go
civic
ahead because of our
conversation.
time.
Now, wealth must be defined in a nation by how wealthy the people are. And the purpose of government, apart from providing security, is ensuring that you continue to encourage the people through access to the resources for them to meet their needs. An average Nigerian from 2015 to date, if the APC had just been able to keep the dollar at the price it is, most of us will still be able to manage. Right now, what has happened is that the value of the currency or of your net worth has been reduced by as much as 400%, while you still have expenses that are above. That is what is causing pain. That is what the disconnect. The people want to produce. The people are strong.
Don't manipulate this because
Wait
you have touched
now.
on the critical
That's
aspect.
why I always keep quiet to allow you to pass your information to, because we are passing information.
Zadok,
Let us
in
let
30
us
seconds.
In 30
yes,
seconds.
In 30
yeah,
I
seconds.
need
yeah.
to.
yes.
In 10 seconds.
For us as a party, our job is to help the people to become better and able to provide for themselves. As long as the people are working hard and they see the effort of their labor continue to wither away, they are going to continue to protest in votes. And that is what you saw in Osho. People are telling the APC, get your hearts together, get us back on track, or we vote you out.
Okay, Barrister Jishafe, you want to respond to that?
Yes,
In a minute.
in Ekiti,
In a minute.
there was an election in Ekiti about a month ago. PDP lost
APC won.
woefully, and the APC won.
Yeah.
In Osun, APC lost.
PDP won.
PDP won.
Yes.
So it could not have been. If you are talking about the issue of wealth, then you have discountenanced all the issues we have spoken about that you even started raising.
With your party paying 10,000 per vote, you would in Ekiti.
But how much did your party pay?
In Osun, we heard that the PDP paid as much as 50,000.
That's what I'm saying.
So-
it's a response to what happened in Ekiti.
So what we are saying, what we are
We even
saying,
heard that
I
the
told you,
dollars
yeah.
exchange.
I told you.
That's why I said let political parties be sincere.
I
Let's
told
be
you that
sincere.
there's no issue of sincerity in what we have discussed here. When he asked the question, I said truthfully, there's no party. I said even the obedience who claim they are not going to, and you came back to that conclusion too. What I said was that for me, I do not think it is the issue of the money that brought the victory for
PDP.
PDP. It was as a result of the fact that the APC, like you said, did many things wrong,
Also, we did
which
in
was
Ekiti too.
is an issue of an internal a lack of settlement between them. But coming to this, please let me just say, on the national level,
30 seconds.
yes, on the national level, when the respected former president who died, Yaradua, was there, it was not how much he left the dollar that Jonathan. There have been a progression. And you look at it, except if you want to take that one away, the COVID was there. The COVID played a part. It is a national, it is a global
economy. Yeah.
Then even the war in Ukraine has even exacerbated it. So if we now do this, what do we call it, container or what is the name of that your secretariat in PDP in Abuja? If you that is the kind of data plaza economics, it will not work. Thank you.
All right, Pastor Jack. Okay, now to the question of pop culture. Pop culture is very important, and that's why the work over when it comes to politics to campaign, you see politicians involving pop culture, and that's why they do jingles, they involve musicians, and all that, so that things that would gel with people. For instance, the dancing of Adeleke gel with the people. Where the people who love the fact that he dances. That's part of pop culture. Now, in that election, on one side, on the PDP side, there was Davido. You mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
On the APC side, there was Portable, the guy who calls himself Willie Oloni. Now, there was this spectacle that people saw where he was only wearing.
He was unclad.
He was only not fully unclad. He was only wearing his boxers, and then in front of the statue of Awolowo, there was even a guy behind him who put a flag on the head of Awolowo's statue. And a lot of people did not like that, who said that was a sad spectacle. Do you think that in any way contributed to the APC's loss?
You see, it's still part of the communication that you spoke about. I think our people, those who do some of these things, they lack the capacity to manage information.
Because when you put an Oyetola and then Portable on one side,
you see, even if what you wanted to do,
it's a mismatch.
If you not even Oyetola and Portable, not Oyetola.
No, there was another video where Oyetola was seated and Portable was saying, and we know the way this guy talks.
To the governor. We must be fair to the governor.
When you put I think you compare two comparables. When you put a Davido and you put a Portable, granted that each of them has their audience, but still, when you look at where is Davido coming from, where is Portable coming from? Davido is from Osun. He's from the family of the man that is contesting.
Portable is from Ogun.
He's from Ogun. And you see, there is this communication. I think it's still part and parcel of the mistake that we make. And then when you talked about this Awolowo thing, there was even a place where I saw he carried the money that he put in one this thing and was throwing it around. It was, you see, some of those things as a way of making a wrong communication to the people. And as a communicator myself,
let's be fair to Oyetola. I watched that video, and I'm always trying to be fair.
The governor did not feel
The
comfortable.
governor was not comfortable. He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. Whosoever made that call to bring that gentleman made a blunder.
Closer to the governor.
Now, made a blunder. Let me tell you why it is more important in Yoruba land. The Yorubas, we could be very accommodating, but we could also be very sensitive. When it comes to the way our culture has been taught to us, we don't even disrespect somebody that is 1 year older than you, even a month older than you. Your age group defines where you stand in society. Now, you are bringing somebody to campaign in a Yoruba environment, and you are not sensitive enough to know that this thing is in conflict, is an anathema to the Yoruba culture. We don't celebrate somebody who says he's mad. We don't do that. And you bring such a person to Oshun, nobody is managing the information or the space around him. You leave him to do his thing. The day he went to that statue, I found it extremely insulting. Because my parents are educated because Awolowo gave them education. And then you bring a young man who does not even have any sense of value in education to stand on that and then make a spectacle of the immorality that he represents. And nobody cautioned it. The governor, the states, the APC did not write a disclaimer. Immediately, I would have fired him. I would have shown to the people that this is not the value. But nobody did anything because they were more concerned about winning the election. Look at Davido. If you compare both of them, Davido comes from a very wealthy family, but he has shown that he's better raised in terms of manners. It is not your social status that determines how well you are raised in Yoruba land. Your parents raise you because you are first a Yoruba man. It's not economic.
But
Davido, wait. If I may complete it,
we're talking about
this.
campaign.
Davido, look at his uncle that became a governor. The first thing he did was to show that he's a Yoruba man. He prostrated to appreciate his senior brother, considering the position the senior brother played in his life. That is Yorubaness. A Yoruba person, a political party, must not for any reason associate with anything that the people will consider insulting, that the people will consider an affront to the culture and to their ancestry. And for the APC not to have done that, they paid a huge price. It could be a small percentage of people that felt offended. But that small percentage in politics, if one person stops voting for you and votes for me, that's a plus a plus 2 advantage for me and a minus 2 advantage for you. So you don't allow public communication to just go off on its own without you managing it. And they have paid a good price for it. And I am hopeful that this will teach all political parties, all managers of the communications of governors, that how you communicate to the people and how much you show respect for their culture, custom, tradition, language, and all.
And history
pays a huge price. The worst they could have done to us as Yoruba people, as APC did, was to have brought that boy who represents a negative value. We don't talk about the private part of a Yoruba. It's so difficult for me to mention it in my Yoruba language. And then this person finds it comfortable, and then you bring him to represent a political. That's a bad call.
Okay,
from the APC.
Okay. My last question, because of our time. Now, this victory for the PDP and the loss for the APC, how does it tie into the 2023 presidential election for the APC and the PDP? Before now, the only foothold that the PDP had in the Southwest was Oyo State. Now, the PDP has Osun in his kitty, and the guy will be sworn in before the presidential election.
It doesn't guarantee for my party that we would have a greater advantage. Yorubas are different. Our strategies for the election must take into consideration, first and foremost, the people the people at the region in which the election is going to be practiced. I watched a video yesterday where people in Osun were saying that they have voted, they have that they have voted out one person, but that doesn't mean that they will vote out their son. That is important for the PDP in our calculation. How do we handle a system where a Yoruba man is contesting for the position of presidency in Yoruba land? We must be very careful.
I think I agree with him entirely. I watched the same clip. It was even the drivers. The man frontally asked them, now that you have done this, who are you voting for the presidency? And they say it's Tinubu. So, and I agree with him that.
Don't let everyone get you. Thank you very much. Campaign has not started. President campaign has not started. Thank you very much, Barrister Shola Ajishabe, for coming on to this edition of Conversation with Jonathan FM. Thank you, Mr. Zadok Akitoye, for coming on this.
It's always a pleasure.
My name is Richard Ines, and this is where we draw the curtain. Thank you for listening.
Can I?
Only 5 minutes.
5 minutes package, yeah. Albans.
ẹ kú kalẹ̀ gbogbo òbí abiyamọ gidi tẹ́ ẹ̀ ń gbọ́ mi àkànṣe ètò nìyí tó jẹ́ wípé tẹ́ ẹ bá gbọ́ tán ẹ padà dúpẹ́ ni ò pàápàá jùlọ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ ti lọ́mọ tó ti ṣe WAEC àti NECO pẹ̀lú GCE tí wọn ò sì rọ́nà àbáyọ láti wọlé sí yunifásitì kankan ó yá ẹ fetí balẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́rọ̀ tálejò pàtàkì mi yìí fẹ́ sọ ó yá àlejò mi ẹ bá ń dárúkọ yín fún gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa kẹ́ ẹ sì sọ iléeṣẹ́ eléyìí tẹ́ ń ṣojú fún.
ẹ ṣé gan ni olóòtú orúkọ mi ni Mrs. Jemine mo jẹ́ aṣojú iléèwé St. Albans University College tó kalẹ̀ sí nọ́mbà 9 Ondo Avenue Ìjàpọ̀ Estate Àkúrẹ́.
ilé ẹ̀kọ́ St. Albans University tẹ́ ń sọ yìí kí ni wọ́n ń fi àwọn ọmọ rọ́ ńbẹ̀.
lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ náà a fẹ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn òbí àti alágbàtọ́ tí wọ́n ní ìgbàgbọ́ nínú wa tí wọ́n sì rán àwọn ọmọ wọn wá sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ St. Albans University College. A gbé ilé ẹ̀kọ́ yìí kalẹ̀ fún àwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n ti ṣetán ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ girama tí wọ́n sì fẹ́ tẹ̀síwájú lọ sí universities. Ilé ẹ̀kọ́ St. Albans University College ń ṣe A-level programs bíi Cambridge International, JUPEB àti IJMB èyí tí ọmọ lè lò láti lọ sí universities ní 200 level directly.
kí wọ́n ní àǹfààní tí ń bẹ nínú àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ mẹ́ta eléyìí tẹ́ ti dárúkọ wọ̀nyí.
ẹ ṣeun lótú ọmọ tó bá ṣetán lọ́dọ̀ wa ní iléèwé St. Albans University láàrin oṣù 9 sí 10 ní àǹfààní láti darapọ̀ mọ́ àwọn akẹgbẹ́ wọn ní ìpele kejì ní yunifásitì láì ṣe jamb rárá bẹ́ẹ̀ ni láì ṣe jamb. ọmọ tó bá sì ṣetán lọ́dọ̀ wa ní iléèwé St. Albans University ní àǹfààní láti ṣe dáadáa ju àwọn akẹgbẹ́ wọn lọ nítorí pé a máa ń fún wọn ní ètò ẹ̀kọ́ tó yanrantí ní iléèwé wa èyí sì máa ń ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ láti darapọ̀ mọ́ àwọn akẹgbẹ́ wọn ní yunifásitì ní 200 level directly láì ṣe UTME rárá.
ẹ ṣeun ó dáa kí wàá ní tiyín fi yàtọ̀ sí tàwọn tó kù.
lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ St. Albans jẹ́ iléèwé tí ó gba àṣẹ ìjọba àwọn olùkọ́ tó sì wà ní iléèwé yìí jẹ́ olùkọ́ tí ó dángájíá tí a sì ń fún àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ní ìmọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ tí ó yè koro. Our teaching and learning method jẹ́ ti ìgbàlódé a dẹ̀ tún wà ní conducive learning environment.